Texas. Right now we are live in South Texas. On the record is at ground zero, the fight on America's border with Mexico. Many say this is a war zone, and we're coming to you live from the Texas Ranger Recon Headquarters Mobile Command Center in Edinburgh, Texas. And you are at the center of the action. Both tonight and tomorrow night you will see what's really happening here from high above in the air and on the ground. It is the most illegally crossed international border in the world, and Governor Rick Perry of Texas is here to tell us what is and isn't being done to secure the border. The governor and President Obama do not see eye to eye, and he is here to tell us why. Joining us is Texas Governor Rick Perry. And Governor, I could almost feel you sitting next to me with that report on Dallas. We first got to talk. That just happened in your state.
Yeah, and you know, it's personal with me in a sense past just being the governor. As my children live there, and so we have our prayers for everyone up in that part of the state. You know, disasters are part of Texas. We have monstrously big hurricanes, tornadoes that can hit any time. I talked to Jay Nixon up in Missouri this morning, and he's having that same type of event that he's having to deal with in Joplin, Missouri. I offered him any assistance that we could have or be able to give them. So, you know, there's always something going on in Texas, and again, our prayers are with everyone up in Dallas today as we deal with a lot of different events, whether it's a border that's very porous and things going on. You know, right behind us is one of our tactical teams that's just coming in from some work right across the way over on the Rio Grande, and that is unfortunately an average day in Texas. 2.7 million acres of land that has been destroyed by wildfire. Obviously, these storms that are hitting in north central Texas, a border that is under almost constant attack from those that would try to penetrate through.
That tornado, you could not anticipate. You know, it surprised you and everybody else. Maybe have a couple hours notice. What's going on behind us? The helicopter just went out to try to do something that is trying to prevent something that's quite predictable. And you and the president don't see eye to eye on this one.
Well, not at all. As a matter of fact, I was very disheartened when the president came into El Paso a couple of weeks ago, had a photo op out at the city of El Paso and proclaimed that the border was as safe as it's ever been. And that's just nonsense. You ask these men and women who are putting their lives on the line every night, the Border Patrol agents, the ICE agents, the Texas Department of Public Safety folks in that helicopter, our SWAT teams that are out there, the local law enforcement, all of those individuals know that this border not only is porous, but the people that are coming across this border, we have no idea, well, unfortunately, we do know where some of them are from, and they are from countries that have very close ties to al-Qaeda, whether it's Yemeni or Afghanistan, Pakistan, China. It is an absolute national disgrace.
You know, the thing that surprised me today is that I always knew there was drugs and guns and smuggling of humans back and forth here. What I hadn't realized till I talked to your people today is how many different nationalities come across this border illegally. That's what surprised me. And of course, you know, there's some that are red flags to us when we hear countries like Pakistan or Yemen. Of course, we all, you know, we don't want to be alarmists, but those happen to be countries that have been most unfriendly, to put it politely.
We have now for upwards of 5 or 6 years been going to Washington, D.C., explaining to Congress, to administrations, that we have a real and a serious and a present danger that has to be addressed. Some 12 Democrat sheriffs, people who are not in my political party, went with us to Washington a few years back to share the story about what's happening on that border, and it's only gotten worse. We know that there has to be more boots on the ground. You saw a wall today, a fence being built.
Yeah, from the helicopter.
And you asked the question, is that effective? And the director of the Department of Public Safety said no. This is in a very rural area.
Well, there were gaps in the fence. I mean, it wasn't even a question of going over the fence. There were gaps. You didn't even have to get a ladder.
If you don't have boots on the ground, you cannot defend that border. That's a key issue here.
And can you tell that to President Obama, or won't he hear from you?
You know, I hope the President of the United States would hear from the President, the Governor of the second largest state in our nation, 1,200-mile border with Mexico. We correspond, but I don't know whether he listens. I don't know whether he hears. But the issue is, you've got an entire administration and a Congress that has been reluctant to do what it takes.
Why?
I have no idea. I can't answer
Because the drugs that come through here end up in Milwaukee. They end up in Chicago. They end up in Boston. They end up in Idaho. They end up all across the country.
These are poisons that are showing up in our children's bloodstream, and they're poisoning a generation of Americans. So why wouldn't we do everything that we can to defend that border from those drug cartels that have operational control of a substantial amount of that border?
And the cartels in Mexico?
Well, certainly they're in Mexico, but here's the scary part. They're also in Dallas. They're also in San Antonio.
I meant
They've
Texas.
been in Austin.
I meant Texas.
They're all across, and we're starting to see them as operational cells, if you will,
in Texas,
in these cities. That's one of the reasons I'm so upset, frustrated with the Department of Homeland Security for grants that should be coming to the states to assist with this type of border security, and they're cutting them rather than beefing them up. That's what I'm worried about, is that as bad as that is today, it's only going to get worse, because the cartels see this administration basically saying, the border's safe, don't worry about anything.
Governor, thank you, and I know that you've got to check on Dallas and the rest of the state. You got a long night ahead of you. Thank you, Governor.